Hey, good day, everybody, and welcome to episode 20. Thank you for all of you who have been watching my YouTube series until now. It's already episode 20. Time has gone by very fast. And today in episode 20, we're going to cover the new launches in Singapore as of 2022 and whether they're attractive or not. Of course, we can't cover every new launch in detail because a lot of projects actually they have not provided much information, but we do have some basic level information based on the land sales and what price and what kind of units they can, how many units they can build, who is the developer. So we're going to review things like that first and try to determine, as of today in March, right, which are the more attractive sites to look at. Okay, so let's start the video today. My name is Ryan Khoo, and let me introduce myself with my video.
Director of Alpha Marketing.
Ryan speaking in Tanah Malaysia. So my name is Ryan.
6,000 incoming supply in Johor. This is
I am writing a thank you for attending today's presentation on Tanah Malaysia.
Okay, so my name is Ryan Khoo. I'm a Malaysian. I'm a Singapore PR. I've been in Singapore since 2009. I am first and foremost a property investor. I've been investing in real estate since 2007. I've done lots of transactions for myself. I think I've easily buy and sold for myself and maybe my wife's name, probably close to 100 properties. Yeah, I know. What 100 really? I mean, some people in Singapore only maybe do 3-4 transactions in their lifetime. Maybe most people are like that, right? Even in Malaysia, I mean, but I have probably done definitely more than 50 lah. Yeah, I think buy and sell, right? And that's how I made my first pot to go as an investor. Of course, I went in early. 2007 was still the boom period, I think, for Malaysian real estate and Singapore real estate. I own properties both in Singapore and Malaysia. I have made money in both countries. I have lost money in real estate too, especially in Malaysia. I mean, most of you may have known me through I pushed Iskandar Malaysia quite hard back in 2012, 2013. Unfortunately, Iskandar Malaysia didn't perform as well in the recent years, especially because of politics in Malaysia. COVID is partly to blame also today, but there is some issues with Iskandar Malaysia today. So a lot of people in Iskandar Malaysia lost money, I understand. I also lost money, but I have also made money in Iskandar Malaysia through property investment. Not everything has gone bad. Some properties have done pretty well. And you may see me talk about Iskandar Malaysia quite a fair bit. I do articles for Property Guru, for The Age, iProperties, ST Property. I've done a lot of things for the media in Singapore, talk about Singapore real estate, talk about Malaysia real estate, talk about property investing in general. So today I also run a very successful property investing group in Malaysia and Singapore. There's about over 10,000 members. It's called Malaysian Investors in Singapore. Do join a Facebook group later if you're interested. And we also have a YouTube channel which I'm pushing more content today because lots of people like to watch stuff on video. Okay, so so today is we're going to talk about Singapore and the Singapore new launch market in 2022, right? And actually, since the cooling measures in December, actually to date in March, right, you will notice that there actually hasn't been very much new launches. In fact, the new launch market is pretty quiet, right? I think lots of developers are recalibrating what to do after the cooling measures. It's also a bit of a lull period because of Chinese New Year, right? And the Omicron variant and maybe possibly the Ukraine-Russia war also push things a little bit. So everyone is sort of holding on a little bit, right? So we're going to review what the market is like in 2022 so far. And later we'll do a side-by-side review, as I mentioned just now. We can't talk about everything because, like I said, a lot of information is not available right now. But we will talk about what we have and what we know, right? And maybe a bit speculate a little bit where we can. And then I'll give some recommendations what to do as of now. Okay, so how's the market in March so far? You may have probably seen this piece of news in the media, right, where Singapore new launch sales fall 60% in February. But this is nothing to be concerned because actually this number is all depending on how many developer launch. Developer launch more units, then of course there's more sales, right? So actually sometimes this kind of article in the media is very meaningless, right? Because it's actually dependent on whether got developer new launch. Like developer no new launch, then of course the new launch sales will drop, right? It doesn't mean that the market is bad. Some of you may read this and say, "Oh, property market is going to, taper down or something." But actually, it doesn't really mean anything. It just means that developer didn't launch any new project. That's why new launch sales are lower, right? So that's piece of news number one. Then another interesting article came out think a few days ago was the fact that the government is relooking at the East Coast. This is actually Singapore East Coast, right? So Singapore East Coast Park is here, right? And you can see that they have done some drawing here where government want to extend out land reclamation and along East Coast Park. And actually, this is more for part is also to tackle climate change, right? There's because Singapore is low lying. In case sea levels rise, right, there will be flooding, right? Just like you watch in those tsunami movie, right? So Singapore government say by doing so, you'll protect some of the hinterland in Singapore. What does this mean for real estate? I mean, it's too early to tell. Of course, there'll be all this land will take decades, yeah, to reclaim and to let the land settle and all this. And I know, knowing Singapore government, they'll let the lands settle for decades before they even develop anything. In the meantime, you'll probably start off as parks, things like that. I don't think there'll be so much housing developed on there soon. So some of you may be saying, oh, I must sell my East Coast property. No, I think it's too early to come to that conclusion, right? But yeah, something interesting to know. Singapore government is always at the innovative when it comes to this kind of things, right? The other interesting thing is, of course, MRT, right? The Thomson-East Coast Line. So actually right now for Thomson-East Coast Line, stage 1, stage 2 is already completed, yeah. So stage 1 actually is the Woodlands area, and then stage 2 actually all the way cover into Upper Thomson into Caldecott. Yeah, Caldecott's probably Bishan area, Bishan Thomson area. So this has already been ready. This stage 2 was already completed in August, and now government has said that stage 3, which is another 11 stations, 13 stations or so, will be completed by the end of this year, right? Second half of this year, 2022. That's interesting because actually here you can go all the way to Orchard, right? If you look at the stations here, right, all the way to Orchard, all the way to Outram Park, actually Chinatown, and then all the way to Marina Bay, and Gardens by the Bay. So you have an MRT by Gardens by the Bay as well, which is pretty cool, yeah. And actually this train, in case you don't know, the stage 1 train here, number 1, which is Woodlands North, you will actually go into JB also, right, by another 5 years from now. So this is a very interesting. Thomson line is a very interesting MRT line because it does go to quite a lot of places. In fact, I'm marketing one property right now, which is next to Caldecott MRT, right? A freehold, 3-bedroom, Thomson 800. For those who are interested, I've done a video on that recently also. So, but this is a pretty interesting thing because MRT that comes to the city is a good thing, right? And yeah, Singapore's always great when it comes to infrastructure like this. And of course, we are waiting for stage 4, which covers East Coast. I think a lot of people are looking forward to this as well. And stage 5, right, all the way to the airport. Okay, rentals. Yeah, rentals, interesting story. I don't know whether you all realized this, but rentals in Singapore have gone way up. Yeah, I think there are a lot of people who are renewing your rentals now. If you are a landlord, you're damn happy because you can renew, I think, easily 20%, 25%. Some people are getting like 50%, right? Rental reversion. I think my own unit now, if I rent at today's rate, I will easily get 20% increase. I think, yeah, definitely I can get 20% increase if I kick my tenant out and and force a rental renewal, right? I can definitely get yeah, I think 20% increase, no problem at today's market. And it's crazy, yeah. I mean, sometimes as an agent, we trying to find properties for our tenants, right? And it's the like 20 people, 30 people trying to look at the same property. There are people who rent properties now the same hour without viewing, right? Same day rent out without viewing, right? I mean, if you're a listing agent, it's also very painful because you keep getting phone calls from tenants, right? And I think part of the problem is because, and as per article said, even though Singapore population technically dipped during this period, but I think because of work from home and COVID and there's a lot of and probably it's the effect of some Malaysians staying back in Singapore, right? The rental demand actually has skyrocketed, right? And also construction delay, right? A lot of properties like HDB didn't get completed, and people finding the need to move out and stay on their own, right? So rental Singapore is pretty strong right now, and that's always good for property prices because that means there's actual underlying demand. So that's good for Singapore real estate in a sense. Good if you're an owner, bad if you're a tenant. And I think this problem will persist easily for this year, maybe next year still, because you don't really going to see much new supply coming in anyway in this year. Okay, so en bloc, right? We all thought that en bloc would be dead, right, after the cooling measures because government raised the en bloc, the stamp duties for en bloc, but this Tanglin Shopping Centre managed to do it, right? Fourth try, but they managed to do it. 860 million buyers, an Indonesian conglomerate, right? And this is an interesting thing to know because if one can be done, there might be more. Let's see, because we all thought en bloc will die off a little bit. right now, right? And the other interesting site is the one that the land sales are, right? So an EC, right, in Bukit Batok, bought by Qingjian and Santali joint venture, and they paid so far the highest price for an EC site yet, 662 per square feet, which is the highest for an EC so far. I think basically because EC nowadays there's not much supply. I think in the market right now there's probably less than 100 EC units left for sale, right, from developers, right? And of course, EC is in the sweet spot between HDB and condo, so there are a lot of people in the sandwich income who have to buy EC. And of course, EC, one thing good is you're always sort of guaranteed a profit, right, because of the price differential, right? Not really guaranteed, right, but there's an implied price differential for EC. So a lot of people buy EC because they know that they can make some money, right? It's whether a lot or less only in the years to come. So so for 662 PSF for EC is interesting, right? Later we'll talk about some ECs that are coming up in Singapore this year. So, and this represents that developers ultimately still a bit more bullish. Maybe they're more bullish for EC side because they know EC demand is actually stronger than the normal condo demand, and EC sites are limited. Maybe it could be that angle also, right? But let's see. Okay. So for those of you buyers who are on the sidelines thinking that the market will drop, I mean, cooling measures have some impact, but it doesn't mean that owners have to sell cheap also. I mean, there's, like I said, underlying demand is still fairly strong. Owners also have a lot of holding power, no real reason to drop price, right? And as developer run out of stock, developers also have to bid for land, right? They cannot sit and don't bid for land. And the moment they all start bidding, there'll be some price support, and you can see land prices are not really falling as much, or even maintaining, or even going up, like in this case. Okay, so let's do a review of all the sites coming up in Singapore this year. I want to review those that projects which are not too small, right? That means anything 100 units and above. Below that is too small, right? So we don't want to see sites that are too small, right? And meaningful sites, right? And we will cover those that are block, non-block sales, also government sales. I may miss out certain sites here, right? But these are those that we know more or less are coming up, maybe up to Q3 this year, right? They may not be in order because developer may change their plans and we will not know, right? But these are the important sites I think so far up to Q3 this year, which I think are interesting to see, right? And like I said earlier, we don't have all the information. This is based on what information we have right now. Some of these projects don't even have name also at this point, right? We don't know the name at this point. So let's see. Okay, so the first one actually is the Arden. The Arden has probably been, you can see some marketing on the Arden going on right now in the market, I guess, because Arden is the nearest one to be launched. I think most agencies are aware that Arden is coming. So where is Arden? Arden is actually in Phoenix Road. Phoenix Road is actually Bukit Panjang, Choa Chu Kang area. Okay, and it's actually a landed area. The nearby area next to Arden actually is all I think semi-D, 3-story semi-D. So actually, as Arden as a project will be in a sort of in like a landed enclave, right? It is probably the only west or northwest launch in the early part of this year. I don't think there's any other west launch, condo launch, I think in this year, right? 200 meters from Phoenix LRT. Right, you can, which is actually the next LRT from Bukit Panjang. Bukit Panjang is downtown line. Then you have the Hillian Mall. If you go this direction, you go to Choa Chu Kang. Right, Choa Chu Kang is also not very far. Actually, Choa Chu Kang only 2 kilometer max. Right, and Choa Chu Kang got MRT and of course lot 1 more. So actually, in that sense, Arden is not bad. Leasehold, right? Only 105 units. It's not a big project. Actually, this is an en bloc. Qingjian actually bought a row of shop houses, I think, and some residential on top, and converted this into the Arden, right? So it's actually an en bloc sale originally. This Arden project. And the interesting thing is actually, if you look at Qingjian's purchase price and you look at backwards the per square foot, actually they get 630 PSF, right? Which actually not expensive, yeah. 630 PSF is cheap. 630 PSF is cheap, right? The only thing you may look against Arden is that the location, like you say, hey, Phoenix Road, Northwest, Choa Chu Kang, Bukit Panjang, probably not the most attractive address in Singapore, right? And at 105 unit, probably is at the borderline of what we consider a small project, right? Sometimes the problem is small projects in Singapore, too small, then there's not enough transaction, and then valuation may be issued in the future, or that, right? So 105 is probably at the borderline to a small project. So that's the other thing against the Arden, right? But I mean, we are looking at we're looking forward to see how much at Qingjian will launch, because 630 PSF does give them a lot of room for to make the price attractive. Right, so this will probably, you know, might be one of those projects that the price may be attractive enough that people buy, that give you a lot of room. But the negative points, like I mentioned, is because probably not the most favorable address in Singapore, right? Although you're sandwiched between two MRTs, right, which is not bad, but you're not really next to MRT. But I mean, it's okay. I mean, to me, actually, micro location is not so bad. You're between Hillian and Lot 1, right? Two MRTs on the left and the right with an LRT linking you, more or less. I think it's not bad, and not a bad land price, 630. But yeah, I mean, address and project size could be a little bit of a problem for the Arden, but this is coming up soon. We probably will make a decision closer once we know the actual launch prices for the project end of the day, right? Okay, so this is one, something to consider, to think about. Next is Piccadilly Grand. Piccadilly Grand is actually in Farrer Park, Little India area, which is this is City Square Mall. So City Square Mall actually is Farrer Park MRT. Farrer Park MRT is underground somewhere here, right? And you cross the road, actually is Piccadilly Grand, right? So pretty near Farrer Park MRT, right? Which is and in Little India, of course, it's just the outskirts of a city center, right? And City Square Mall is a pretty big mall, right? Your closest competitor probably is City Square Residences, which is the freehold project next to City Square Mall, right? 1129 PSF. I mean, not to say very cheap. Leasehold, good size number of units, 400 units. Developer also branded developer CDL, MCL normally do pretty decent work, right? So how much? What do you think about Piccadilly Grand? I'm also on the fence. I mean, to me, there's nothing really outstanding. Again, although near Farrer Park MRT, but Little India has always been a place. Again, address could be a bit of an issue. Don't know how many people will want to buy here or stay here in the long run in this address. Right? I think that's basically my issue with Piccadilly Grand. Land price also not to say particularly cheap or anything like that, right? But they could build a nice product, and this area normally you want to build a nicer product, right? Because outskirts of town and all that. But yeah, I mean, Piccadilly Grand to me is a nothing really much to comment about investability at this point, right? The next one is a North Gaia. North Gaia is an EC, executive condominium, so it's for the people with an income ceiling who are I mean, between HDB and between condo. North Gaia is Yishun, so this is Yishun Avenue 9. If you guys know where the Lower Seletar Reservoir is at the back of Yishun, right? So actually to Yishun is about almost 2 kilometers also. Not near, but this road actually normally quite a busy road, right? A lot of HDB in between, quite a busy road as far as I know, right? And Yishun Central is here. And you're quite near to the Lower Seletar Reservoir and some greenery over this side, right? And the Yishun Dam Bridge, which is a nice place for recreation, right? As a location in Yishun, it actually is quite back of Yishun, right? So but it's not so expensive. I mean, 576 PSF, not expensive for, I mean not expensive today's terms are for an EC. North Gaia 600 plus units, so I think there'll be quite a decent mix of sizes. These are for people, I guess, who buy north and don't mind Yishun address and want to get EC, right? But to me, the location is a bit of a nothing great, not near MRT. I mean, the only plus point is the near to nature, right? And the EC pricing, right? But to me, again, if you can top up a little bit more, you might go and look at all those. I mean, Sembawang is not very far off. I mean, I did a video about Water Gardens in Canberra and Commodore in which is actually just north of this a bit, and you have better access back to MRT, north-south corridor. You know, there are more upcoming stuff in that area compared to here, right? So this is my issue with North Gaia EC, but because it's an EC, I think you will see pretty strong demand because again, there are not that many ECs in the market. Anyway, okay, yeah. So, but North Gaia also, you probably see some marketing already, launching soon. I think you will see some information in the market on this coming up pretty soon. Okay, so I live at MB. MB refer to Mountbatten. This one also is a former, is en bloc. Formerly is Katong Park Towers, and I think Bukit Sembawang buy en bloc this building and going to tear it down and rebuild. 298 units, not so bad size. It's in the East Coast, you know, Fort Road, nearby Fort Road. There's 2 MRT stations, I think one over here and one somewhere here along this Mayor Road, which is normally very famous for all the very expensive condos, large size, expensive condos, right? So you are part of this area, right? And near Mountbatten, you drive a little bit, you get to East Coast, basically, more or less. You drive a bit, you get to Tanjong Rhu and all that, which is nice. Dunman School, I think a famous school as well. Pretty near town, right? Yeah, so 1280 PSF, not exactly cheap, but again, this area got nothing cheap one, right? Everything in this area is always on the higher side of prices. So interesting project if you want to buy something new in this area, because a lot of the condos in this area are not new per se, right? There are not that many new condos in this part of Tanjong Rhu, Mountbatten side. Normally, so this live at MB is probably a chance to buy something new here, right? And the MRT station does give you, upcoming MRT station in a few years' time does give you some MRT connectivity in the future. But the problem at 1280 PSF, I mean, not exactly cheap, but yeah, this area usually is not cheap anyway. Right. So next one, Embassy. Now, Embassy is unique in the sense that it's freehold. Right, it's freehold. Again, not many units, 132 units only, because actually the site is not big, right? Actually, Far East has held this plot of land, I think, for a long time already. If I'm not wrong, they have held this piece of land for some time. They have not launched it immediately. They have kept it for a while, and only I think now this year they are planning to launch. Their purchase price is not bad. Yeah? So if you consider that this is only 1066 PSF for freehold, and just now we were showing a few sites which are all 1,000 plus per square foot, which are leasehold 99, right? And this one is freehold, right? And in a prime Marine Parade Tanjong Katong area, right? Like, you know, these are all very famous condo. One Amber Park, the Esta Sea View is here, right? This is an area that has very famous, I won't say famous, highly desired East Coast Katong condos, right? Parkway Parade is nearby, right? And then Silver Sea, yeah, all these are, but Silver Sea not freehold, right? But I think Marine Blue was freehold. Marine Blue sold very well, not cheap. I think Marine Blue was easily 2,000 per square foot. So all these are very Deifong, right, in Cantonese, and very popular area, high demand area. So Embassy is right in the heart of it, right? So although a small project at 132, but I think it will do well. I think it will do well. And at 1066 PSF, there's a lot of room for developer to give you an attractive pricing. The question is whether would they give you attractive pricing, right? Because they have the land cheap doesn't mean they have to sell you cheap, right? Right. So they may sell at 2,000 plus per square foot and still make a healthy profit, as is their right as the developer and landowner, right? If they want to give the buyer face, then maybe they sell cheaper a bit, right? So actually, it all depends on how much Far East want to sell, right? So if Far East, but there is room for Far East to sell cheaper if they want to, right? If you see Amber Park, right, which is CDL, Amber Park also freehold, which I think just next to it also, under construction right now. It's not completed yet. I think this was launched a year or 2 years ago. 2457 per square foot. So if you see Amber Park sell 2457 per square foot, and then you think, why will Far East sell cheaper than this, right? But if you think about it, their margin got almost 1,500 per square foot, so they got big margin to put it with, right? So, but Embassy is interesting in the fact that it may be cheaper, but we don't know, right? But it is freehold, right? And really leasehold price, some more very very prime address. So I think Embassy is something to look out for, right? All things considered, right? Apple to apple considered, right? So yeah, this one is something to watch. Pollen Collection. Pollen Collection is actually landed project. This area all landed one, right? There are a few, I think Bukit Sembawang, Tong Eng all have land here, which is Akong land. They own the land for many years. So actually we don't know what's the land price. I cannot find what's the land price, not available, right? So they own the land for many years. Belgravia, which is the nearest comparison, Belgravia Ace sold in January, sold very well. I think sold 71%. I don't know what's the latest sales status, but they can sell 3+ million and above, right? So actually, I think all the Belgravia series here by Tong Eng is all 3+ million. So Bukit Sembawang will do this at 99, right? This Pollen Collection. So you probably be cheaper. Cheaper how much? I don't know, right? 132 units, but normally all the landed project is this kind of number, right? And Bukit Sembawang normally do very nice product, right? But because it's 99, it probably have to be cheaper than the Belgravia series above, but landed project I think is something to watch out, right? So as per all the landed project in this area, it's pretty near Seletar, this area, all are landed project area, right? But if you want an ITE, is normally the landmark that you can make reference to, right? It's pretty near landmark ITE. But you want to go to Serangoon, you want to go to Mo Kio, it's all quite easy. Go up a little bit, you reach Yishun already actually. So it's if you want to go to TPE, it's also very near. So actually, as a location, I like it very much for landed property, right? A bit suburb, but not too far away from the rest of Singapore. I think it's a great area to have a landed project to me, right? So Pollen is interesting in that sense. But again, we wait for more details, right? I think right now there's not much details about how this project will be, right? But the newest comparison, of course, is Belgravia next door, and of course the earlier projects sold by Bukit Sembawang landed here in this place itself. Okay, but it's one of the landed to see for this year. Okay, Tanah Merah Kechil, name to be confirmed. There's no name for this project yet. We don't know the name, right? The owner is MCC Land. MCC also normally does pretty decent quality project, right? 260 units because the project size is not that big. Actually, if for those, it's just next to Tanah Merah MRT, which is the biggest plus point, right? Tanah Merah MRT is here, right? And you are just next to Tanah Merah MRT, right? And if I'm not wrong, it's probably also the only last plot of land next to Tanah Merah MRT, because here Urban Vista, here Optima, the Glades, Grandeur Park, Eco down here, I think no more, right? Should be no more than this side already. If I'm not wrong, this is the last plot of land. So, and leasehold. But the interesting thing is what price the developer got it. They got it at 930, yeah. You see, which gives them $100, $200, $200, maybe up to $200 advantage compared to other developer, right? Most of the launches this year, I think, are normally bought around 1,000, 1,200 per square foot, right? Their land, but this developer MCC got this plot land at 930. So they got $100, $200 advantage in terms of land price, and they are next to MRT, or they are really next to MRT one, right? Which I think is again a plus point. And Tanah Merah address, I think, is a pretty not a bad address. I think lots of people are okay with Tanah Merah address. Is a more preferred address if need to choose locations in Singapore. And since it's next to MRT, right, again, something to look at. Again, because of the price they got, it was pretty decent, right, next to MRT, good address. I think, yeah, a lot of things to look at here, right, for this one, for Tanah Merah Kechil. But this one probably launch, I think, second half of the year. Let's see. But again, one of the ones to look out for. Right, Tengah Walk. Okay, Tengah, for those of you who don't know, actually is north of Jurong, right? I think it's a forest reserve or jungle reserve. Used to be army do training there, but now government is spending a lot of money to turn this into the next Punggol, right? The next Punggol area, right? Future Punggol, right? And I think if you guys have seen the success of Punggol, Punggol 20 years ago to Punggol today, right? I think Tengah is pretty much going to be something similar, right? Like Bidadari, like all this, the government going to do massive development, add a lot of amenities and stuff. In fact, there's 2 MRT stations from the new MRT line. I think it's called Cross Island Line or Jurong West Line or something like that, right? There's 2 MRTs nearby this Tengah EC, right? Of course, this MRT also under construction. Okay, but the site is here. Let's see. So CDL is a developer again. 6 to 8 units. Okay, typically all this kind of number of units are right. 603 per square foot. Not cheap, not expensive. Yeah, but it's Tengah area lah. And actually today there's nothing much to show you. Even if you go there, also you cannot enter because Tengah is like a whole jungle area being cleared right now. A lot of construction. So can't really tell you near what or near anything, because even the road that where they're going to build this EC also is under construction. So I also don't know this project can launch exactly when, because there's not much information. I think for the short term, if once this condo is ready anyway, everybody will still go to Jurong East for their amenities and stuff, because Jurong East is the nearest commercial district for this. But I mean, you give this place another 10-15 years, you'll probably be Tengah will be much more developed. And if you look to long term, like how Punggol successful today, I think that's what will happen to Tengah as well. But as of now, Nothing much can be said. Nothing particularly fantastic about the price. Also, location, too early to tell. Too early to tell. Okay. AXA Tower redevelopment. This was the AXA Tower in Tanjong Pagar, right? You know, the round color, there's one round office tower in Tanjong Pagar. So basically the owner Perennial has gotten some special incentive because government is giving incentive to developer to redevelop buildings in the CBD. So through this redevelopment, they're going to, I don't think they'll tear down, but they'll probably modify the building somewhat and get a lease extension. And so there will still be offices, but they're going to get a residential component out of it. So they're going to build 268 residential in this building, which is again part of government's initiative to make more people live in the CBD after working hours, right? Because right now there's some fear that Raffles Place, Marina Bay turn very dead after working hours. So trying to put more life into this. That's why they got 268 residential. But again, we don't know much at this point. We don't even know the name, right? We don't even know the unit sizes, stuff like that. Prices also we don't know because the way the formula they calculate this is different, right? So we don't know what potentially can sell at, but it's something interesting to look at because they are one. Actually, the other one also is I think IOI also has a project near Marina Bay. Similarly, will have some residential component, but too early to say. We don't know what's the price anyway. Okay, so hard to say anything. Mo Kio Avenue 1. Mo Kio Avenue 1 is actually a very long road, right? It practically stretches the entire of Mo Kio, right? But this Mo Kio, this site, right, at Mo Kio Avenue 1 is actually towards the edge of nearing to touch Upper Thomson Road. So actually it's pretty near Upper Thomson, the shop house area, right? And pretty near Bishan also. Actually, Bishan Park is below, right? And you turn left down here is Bishan already. Turn up is Upper Thomson Road, right? And here's of course the Lower Pierce Reservoir, right? Actually, the site itself, I think there's some HDB around it, right? But again, the developer didn't buy very cheap. UL bought 1001. Cheap, not cheap. Site not very big, 300 plus units. This one probably appealed. If I'm UL, they'll probably build something high end a little bit, right? Try to play on the specs, right, for this location and of course the near nature, right? But I mean, again, at this price, at this location, not near MRT, right? I think there's a Mayflower MRT somewhere nearby, but you're not next to it per se, right? Yeah, so yeah, again, mixed review, hard to tell until we get more information for this project later on. But as of now, nothing, based on what we have, nothing much to comment at this stage. The last one, the last site for review, I think, which is an interesting one. Jalan Anak Bukit, also named to be confirmed, right? This one is an Upper Bukit Timah, right? Upper Bukit Timah, and you guys probably know Beauty World Plaza, KAP Mall, right? Here is Totak area, right? So there is this site, integrated development. Yeah, the plus point is integrated development, right? So integrated development means what? Means MRT, shopping mall, bus station, all built in one, right? And normally means got town center also. Government will have some like CC, community center, some other facilities, throwing library, things like that, right? So this is what's going to happen in this site, right? Far East is a developer with Sinoland, right? And sorry, this is an error here. This is not Mo Kio Avenue 1. It's a typo. It's Jalan Anak Bukit. Okay, 845 units. So a lot of units here. And although we sold, I mean, all these kind of sites are we sold, but integrated development. So integrated development, I think what other examples are like Bedok, Pasir Ris 8. I think it's a new launch of the most recent one. Jurong Central, right? All these are examples of full integrated development. I think Singapore, this is probably the 12th one, right? With Beauty World MRT, right? And of course, you're not far from the Bukit Timah landed and school area, right? Although you are at the very edge of Upper Bukit Timah, but okay, I mean, you just cross the road, it's Bukit Timah, right? So sometimes all these address things are a bit misleading, right? But to me, you're pretty near Bukit Timah actually, right? In that sense, right? MRT through downtown line, Beauty World, all this. But the interesting thing is price. Look at the price, 989 per square foot. All this, yeah, for 989 per square foot. Again, it's one of those projects where they got it below 1,000 PSF. Below, below 1,000 PSF. Again, you got MRT, fully integrated development. So something like Tanah Merah earlier, right? You're next to MRT, but Tanah Merah one not full integrated development. Tanah Merah is just an MRT station, right? But this one, full integrated development, MRT, bus, shopping mall, and probably some government facilities like CC, all that, for 989 per square foot. And address also not bad. I mean, Jalan Anak Bukit, Upper Bukit Timah Road is not a bad address, right? Considering that you are in the Upper Bukit Timah next to Bukit Timah itself, not the one nearer to Hillview, right? So I think it's good, yeah. And some more 845 units give you a big choice in selection, right? In the future, there'll be a lot of resale transactions and good valuation comparison for this project as well. So definitely this one also is my pick for interesting project to look at for the year. But this one I think also launched second half of this year. Let's see, right? And if you look at what happened to Pasir Ris 8 last year, right? I think this one will also be very, very popular, right? Very, very popular. Again, at 99 per square foot, developer has a lot of room to try and sell you attractively, right? Even if they don't sell cheaper than other projects, but the fact that they are same price with other projects, but you get all these plus points, I think that alone is a winner already. For the same price, you get so much more compared to all the other projects that I was showing earlier. Okay, so after this video and all this review, so these are my recommendations, right? So based on just now actually what you've seen, those few sites that are probably coming up this year, I think the ones that look more promising are Arden because of the land price, Jalan Anak Bukit because integrated development, good land price, Tanah Merah Kechil also good land price next to MRT, right? And Embassy because of freehold, prestigious address, and also not a bad land price, right? These are my favorites so far for 2022. Of course, we can't say very, very much until we get more information nearer to the launch, but judging from what information we have now, these four are the ones that look good lah. Look good. Of course, from the four above, I think my first pick will definitely be Jalan Anak Bukit, purely because of the number of units, right, and integrated development. A second close one will probably be Embassy. I mean, just because I like the freehold and I love East Coast, so I got maybe biased there a bit, right? If I have to choose the second one, okay. But let's look out for more project information as they come out, right? Another recommendation I can do, of course, as I mentioned in my previous videos, is look at balance units. That means projects which are not fully sold. One example is like my earlier video on water gardens at Canberra and the Commodore, right, where they are not fully sold, but because those developers bought land even earlier, so they have the benefit of putting a price which is more attractive, right? So like I said, projects which are land bought in this period, 2018, 19, 20, their land price is still cheaper than 2020, 21. So anything that launched this year, and if they sell well, will further reinforce the fact that you buy balanced unit from earlier project even better because they are cheaper, right? So this is another way to look at it because of the land price differential based on when the developer buy. And the third one, of course, is resale. Resale, nothing wrong buying resale. I mean, the issue with resale, of course, today is that it's difficult to find a good resale sometimes. There are only that many resale units for sale. So sometimes the challenge is that for resale, but you still find resale units. There's still a gap from resale compared to projects. So you can definitely buy resale cheaper than new launch. But of course, with resale, since you can see the actual property, you want to choose carefully. And like the issues, of course, limited listings sometime in the resale market. Okay, so these are my recommendations as a property buyer for Singapore. Yeah, so I hope you enjoyed today's video. If you have any questions, please feel free to text me at my number there or my email there, right? 81261626, right? Or my Malaysian number also can if you're not from Singapore, right? And if you love or enjoyed this video, please like, share the video and subscribe. You can also find us on our Facebook at Malaysian Investors in Singapore. We do share a lot of news there as well, and you don't have to wait for my videos. I mean, all updates that we find interesting, we do share there as well. I promise you, this Facebook is not a spammy. We don't spam you very agent style marketing, right? It's purely for news sharing, and we very encourage a lot of open discussion about real estate, Singapore or Malaysia, anywhere else, right? So thank you very much for watching this video. Hope to see you soon.